Well, I have no surprise seeing you back here, but you shouldn't be surprised seeing me in another place or in another outfit. I don't just like talking about tech and toys, I also like talking a range. And if you like bikes like myself, and especially customizing it to your rider preference. Welcome back to SoulProdMusic. I'm your host Christiaan van der Westhuizen, and if this is your first time checking out my content, I cover a bunch of topics around mechanics and technology. So if this is your first time, I hope I can impress you just a little bit enough to click that red subscribe button. And I've grown a lot since my dirt biking journey has begun, and I've mounted 250s and 450s alike, from small bikes to bigger bikes. And it got me thinking, what's the closest I can take my mid-size slow bike to the big racing 450s? So I went to the best mechanic I know in a 100-meter radius, got myself a toolbox and started talking a range. And I found out that you can make up to 5 free customizers to your dirt bike for your rider preference, ranging from the top left of the bike down to the bottom right of your dirt bike. The first thing you're going to notice when mounting a dirt bike in the cockpit is going to be your handlebar. Now the first thing you need to think about is riding position. Because we're talking about dirt bikes in this video and not road bikes, is you're going to be using the bike sat down and standing. So for all the variables I list, the handlebars need to be able to work in a sat position and a standing up position. So in moving the handlebars closer to your body, your elbows will be closer, your hands will be closer, and you will be in a tighter position. That will lead to overcorrections and oversteering the bike. The opposite is true when moving the handlebars away from you or from your body close to the camera. You will be in a wider stance with the bike, arms stretched out, not a lot of movement, which will lead to maybe even understeer or oversteer when you throw yourself into too big of a position on top of the bike. Locate your handlebars on the cockpit, locate the clamps holding down your handlebar, and find out which size wrench is able to torque them loose. In my case, it is a 10. After you've loosened up your handlebars, you will see it will be able to move. So mount your dirt bike from the back and start to rotate your handlebars. Maybe even mount the bike, sit on its stand, and find the most comfortable position for your bike. Notice and be aware of the fact that any cable should not be squished when the handlebars are in the position, because the bike will compress and vibrate a lot. For your final tightening, work in a cross pattern to tighten everything up evenly spread. That's a really fast, real easy, free customize you can make to your dirt bike. Let's move on to the second customize. The second customize you can make to your dirt bike is with your levers, including your clutch lever and your brake lever. The important thing to remember is to leave enough range of motion to use your throttle and not be able to injure your wrist when it is at the maximum turn. So because this is dirt bike, we're going to use it when we're sitting as well as standing. So that's why you want to find the middle ground where your wrist will be as straight as possible all the time. Step 2's how to is to locate your lever's housing. Now the important thing to remember here is that you don't squish the cables, because I use handle guards so that it doesn't squish here when the bike is vibrating and under compression, as well as stretching the cables when the bike is vibrating and under compression. So locate your lever and the housing, take the correct size wrench, which I'm going to be using an 8mm wrench, and torque them loose. Do not loosen your bolts all the way so that the housing might fall off, and rotate your lever enough until you find a suitable position for your lever. Another tip to keep in mind is when the bike is going down to full, that if you have these handle guards, that it hits the handle guard and not your brake lever. So keep that in mind when you are doing this customize. I like it here. Now take your wrench again and torque it tight. Following few mechanical changes, I'm not going to be mounting the bike. We're going to be moving lower down the bike and down right. So we're going to be looking at suspension and the forks. Not talking about sag, that's for another video. Fork alignment and fork height adjustment. Fork height adjustment used for bikes that have the ability to raise and lower the forks higher or lower to change the seating height of the bike for different sized riders. But look, we are going to be looking at fork alignment. Fork alignment is because both forks are parallel. One sometimes might be taller or shorter than the other, which means that to keep the bike in a straight line, your handlebars will have to be twisted to either a little bit right or a little bit left, which will fatigue your legs, fatigue your body, and that's not nice. So fork alignment is a priority when looking at mechanical changes to your motorcycle. The third how-to for the video is going to be how to align your forks. Take a wrench to torque all 4 bolts the same amount every time. This is really important because the forks is one of the main ways your motorcycle communicates with the ground. I'm going to be using a 12 wrench. This is still part of the how-to for fork alignment. After your forks are loose, about to be able to fiddle with them with your fingers, grab a fistful of front brake and rock the bike back and forth so that the forks will jump into place. Now we literally have reached the lowest point of this video. We're going to be changing your shifter and brake lever up and down from parallel or in line to either down or upwards of your foot pegs, so that your feet can get in here a little bit easier when you're using riding boots, because sometimes if your brake lever is too high you will unnecessarily shift down, or if it's too low and you try to get under you will shift up, and vice versa. So choose the correct height. After you've loosened your bolt and it's still a little bit tight, wedge your wrench in there and just ply it loose enough, or hit it at the back with a hammer to get it loose enough. Move it up and down to your preferred height. Put your feet on, test if it's high enough, and tighten when you are satisfied. Now the final piece of advice is going to be probably the most important, and you will receive the biggest impact from this mechanical change. Take a guess. It's not opening up your airbox to let in more air so that it drinks even more oxygen than somebody's dad at 12 AM. No. It's pumping up your tires, mate. I'm not going to show you how to do that. If you decide to follow through with this video, even for all 5 customizers and mechanical changes that you will make to your bike, the list of materials is really minimal. An 8 to a 13mm wrench, 1mm to 0.75mm or over half a centimeter Allen key wrenches, Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver or star point screwdriver depending on where you live, a little bit of elbow grease, obviously optional, and probably the most important thing, a bike pump. I feel like it's self-explanatory that the video like this will need some sort of disclaimer. I'm not a professional mechanic, I'm a teenager that likes to talk wrenches. So if something of your bike breaks, please don't hold me responsible for anything like that. And as always, no, this is the first time. Enjoy the ride.